Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for Truth show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard, you don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart, yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Fialkoff. It's a pleasure to be back with you. Many of you have been asking, how do I avail myself of the previous episodes? It's very simple. Go to YouTube, click on A Time for Truth show, A Time for Truth show. Hit the subscribe button. We'll be more than happy to have you as a member. There's no fee, and you'll be able to get the last 3 years of episodes, A Time for Truth. Tonight really is a very special moment, because in life, many people make it, but they turn out to be not such nice people. But this guy is really a very interesting humanitarian human being, cares about people, and actually had a very interesting name that he lives up to, which is Gentleman. Gentleman Gerry Cooney. And what we're going to do is we'd like to show you a moment from his boxing career, one of the hardest punchers in the heavyweight division. Buddha, let's put on the video of Mr. Gentleman Gerry Cooney.
All the other measurements, round one underway. Norton on the right, Cooney on the left. The tactics of Ken Norton in the early rounds will be interesting to say the least. Whether he decides to pace himself, whether he decides to go after the number one challenger. 10 rounds, 3 knockdown rule is in effect. The bell cannot save either man. A right hand buckled the knees of Norton by Gerry Cooney. First punch of the fight buckled Norton's knee. Left hand to the stomach, and another right hand to the side of the head of Norton, who stands on the ropes. Left hand to the heart by Cooney. Norton bangs away now at Cooney in Norton's corner. And another left hand scores, and again, the legs of Norton wobble. Norton is hurt in his own corner. Cooney trying to measure him. Misses 2 uppercuts, but scores with combinations of left stands. Norton straight up. Norton is about to drop. Norton is on his knees and finally slumps in the corner. He is not going to get up from this. The fight is over in 54 seconds. And if there was ever any doubt as to the punching power of Gerry Cooney, Ray Leonard, I think.
There you have him, one of the hardest punchers in the heavyweight division. And Gerald Arthur Cooney, tremendous American professional boxer born on Long Island, competed from 97 to 1990, challenging twice. There you see him with his friend Larry Holmes. They beat the hell out of each other in a fight, but they're friends now. Here you see him in the fight. Competed for the titles in 82 and 87. He fought and beat Ken Norton, as you saw, Lyle, Jimmy Young, fought with Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks. Mr. Cooney not only was an unbelievable boxer, but he's an actor known for Minges Alley, Spenser for Hire, A Place to Grow. And he's been inducted into International Boxing Hall of Fame. There you see him with Roberto Duran. He founded the Fighters Initiative for Support and Training, an organization which helps retired boxers. He's good friends, as you see, with former champ Larry Holmes, and he's involved in JAB, the first union for boxers. He mentors young boxers, and he was a boxing promoter for title bouts featuring Roberto Duran, Hector Camacho, George Foreman. He is a supporter of the Hands Are Not for Hitting program, which tries to prevent and is doing a great job at eliminating domestic violence. And Buddha, if you will, let's bring up live Mr. Gerry Cooney to A Time for Truth show. Welcome,
Hey, Doc.
sir.
Hey, Doc, nice to see you. Thank you for those kind words. And that was a very frightening fight with Ken Norton. I didn't think he was going to get up. And the referee let it go on way too long. And sometimes that happens, and sometimes you don't make it. But he was fine. He had a great life after that, and he's passed us. He's passed on since. But, yeah, you know, some days you win, some days you lose. That's just the way life is, right? We got to turn the page and get on and keep moving because nobody's waiting for us.
Absolutely. You know, that's what I was going to ask you is, most people I don't think realize the dedication that you had to be a professional boxer and that you still have. What kind of discipline, I want you to talk about this, what kind of discipline and tenacity do you have to really have to do what you did?
Well, it's not easy. And every day you get up about 5:30, you go running 3 to 6 miles, you come back, eat, you do some stomach work, and you rest up. And then in the afternoon, you go to the gym. There's like 5 or 6 of these big, tough sparring partners waiting for you. And as you're in there with one, the other 4 or 5 are watching, and they're trying to find your mistakes. And that's how you get better over time. And it's a tough, tough business. And I had a great career, and I kind of stunted it by getting caught up. After I knocked out Norton, I think I couldn't get me in fights. Don King wouldn't get me anybody to fight because I wouldn't sign with him. And then I started to drink, and the atmosphere was good. And here's my house, take my plane. And I got drifted away. I pulled away. And then 13 months later, I fought for the heavyweight championship of the world against Larry Holmes. And I wasn't in top shape. And we had a great fight with 13 rounds with him. And now we're best of friends. We do a lot of things together, and we help people. And I was not involved with JAB. I was involved with FIST, Fighters Initiative for Support and Training, that we held, and we helped hundreds of people get back to life. And because, you know, the fight game, you know, when you're finished, you don't save any money. The promoters and the managers don't want you to save because they want you to keep fighting. And then that day comes when you can't fight anymore, and then you're lost. Well, I always knew that there was going to be a rainy day. I always knew it. And I put my money aside. I didn't spend my money. And so I protected myself. And unfortunately, I did use alcohol. And I put down the drink April 21st, 1988. So I'm sober about 36 and a half years. And I have the greatest family. I help people every day. I love my life. I love my friends. I'm intimate. All those things that we were supposed to aspire to have as kids growing up, I never got it. But I got it today, and we work every day hard to keep changing and keep helping people, make them aware that there's good things out there for. We have to keep asking the question. I remember first time I went to a meeting, I heard somebody say, "Can you help me?" And I've been asking that question ever since.
Well, you know what? I want to, first of all, congratulate you on everything you've done. And the one thing that stands out for me, I remember the first time I met you, and it was after I met you, and the next day I get a call from you. And I've never had this before, and I know a lot of people and a lot of athletes, and I won't go into personal detail, but I got the call, and I go, wow, this guy really deserves a name that he went by, Gentleman Gerry Cooney. And I was blown away by your humbleness, your nobility, that you even called, which most people never call because, you know, they go to an event and they want to have pictures taken. So I want to actually, on the show, validate you
Well,
And
thank you. Thank you.
oh, thank you for who you are. And I wanted to ask you at this point, because that's a good point. What do you think about this? I'm going to call it a movie. I'm not even going to call it a boxing match. This movie of Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. I'd like you to speak about that.
Well, what happened was Jake Paul during the pandemic, he was a sensation for Instagram and TikTok and all those sites, and he developed a big fan base, hundreds of thousands of fan base, and he was doing videos and all that stuff, and he got into boxing, and it's kind of amazing. Through the pandemic, this guy became a millionaire. He puts on, great fights. He put himself in a lot of fights, and for no experience, he did okay. And he picked the right people at the right time. Mike Tyson was really pretty. He had no legs. The ring was big. It was a 2-minute round, big gloves. And so it all favored Jake Paul. And Mike Tyson took the fight and did as best he could. He couldn't get inside. This is not nothing what Mike Tyson's about. He likes to get inside, and he didn't do that. And he made $20 million. Jake Paul made $40 million. It's unbelievable that in this day and time that this kind of money is available for these things. You know what I mean? And he played safe, Jake Paul, and just Tyson had no legs. He couldn't get in. He tried, but he couldn't.
Gerry, what you're saying is so true about the money that they generated. And what I think about is how if we had sports and we generated this money and we used a portion of it to help the community, to help the people who are homeless, to help the people who are maybe having drug and alcohol problems, to help the people who are getting divorced. I wanted to ask you, what do you feel, because, you really have a very great viewpoint on life. What do you feel is a professional athlete's potential role in American society?
Well, 99% of fighters end up broke. Let's just put it that way. There's certain stars that make money that are looked out for. They're watched, their money. Me, for one, I kind of knew there was a rainy day coming. I didn't know when, but I knew it was coming. Most of these guys are cheated and stolen from, and they don't save the money. They keep spending it because they think it's never going to end. But my thought was years ago, if we took $1 from every ticket that was sold for a fight and put it into a fund, after a year or two, everybody's problems would be treated. Mental, marital problems, children, addiction, mental illness, all those things could be addressed. But you see, what they did in boxing is they made it independent contractors. So they were not responsible for us. So when you fought for a year, you got health insurance. That was it. And you made your money. No one told you what to do with it, where to go with it. And unfortunately, most of these guys that fight, they didn't get much education, most of them. There are good fighters out there, bright guys. There's great fighters out there. There's people out there to help them. But overall, most guys and most athletes, I'm not saying boxing, all athletes end up broke down the line. And this has to stop. And we have to learn whether the fighter goes to the commission and says, what am I signing? Would you look my contract over? Will you help me? What do I do with my money? Where can we go? Some of those things have to be done. And they're not, because all fighters are independent contractors. Football players have leagues. They get taken care of. And they still end up broke. But understand, the fight game is great. Great personalities, great stories. We love those guys. Years ago, you think about Joe Louis, when we were having terrible war problems, fighting in the war, he held us up. Years ago when Muhammad Ali was fighting, they shut down a war because they wanted to see him fight. These things are real. And we have to find some way to encapsulate them and to bring them forward to these guys who most of these older guys are broke. Nobody cares about them. They suffer with dementia. They have problems, issues. They're all alone, nowhere to live. You know how the story is. And, we talk about it. I travel a lot, and I go to places like Chicago, you go to New York, there's so many drugs. Everybody's on drugs, living in camps with tents. We got to cut that out. We got to think about the world. We have to stop and try and work with these kids. No one's doing it. And they need help. I was up in Portland, Maine, and there's like parks filled with tents and drug, places to put your hypodermic needles. I mean, that's where America has gone to. And hopefully, we'll get some changes coming up. Boxing is changing. They got some great companies. Bob Arum, Top Rank, is a great guy. The Zone, you got Joe Diaguardia, you got PPC. You got some great organizations that are helping these guys put their money away. Don't spend the money. Take a little bit, put the rest away. I always tell them, put it in safe interest, right? So when you get out, you don't lose your money.
Absolutely. I personally, I'm a surgeon of 44 years, but I did, like you said, I looked around, I saw this drug problem. And so about 17 years ago, I, like you, said, I got to do something. I started this, foundation for a drug-free world, the Americas chapter. And what it is it educates people, educates youth on the truth about drugs. Because I see that. I see people lose hope. They get despondent, or they take a wrong turn. Nobody wants to speak to them. And the next thing you know, they don't know what to do, so they turn to a solution. They want to forget everything. They either start taking a drug or they start drinking, because there's nobody there to help them. So I think what you're bringing out is a very important point. What would you like to see in our country in this new year now? I mean, Trump just got elected. Yeah. He wants to bring America back, he says. So what do you think needs to happen?
Listen, doctor, the family system has broken down a long time ago. The parents are working 2 and 3 jobs. These kids are being left alone. They don't have any discipline. They have no direction. No one's helping them along the path. And they're getting lost outside. And also there's a family disease of alcoholism, drug addiction. There's mental illness that is not being addressed. It's being pushed aside. And it needs to be addressed. These people, they're good people. They need to help. And they don't know how to ask for help. And you put them on medication, and the medication makes them sleepy, so they stop taking the medication. It's just a cycle. It goes around and round and round. And where does it stop? There's a lot of people dying out there that are lost, and they're good people. And so in the government, maybe who knows who's going to help out. But we need to get some changes, and we need to have these guys addressed and looked at, men and women prostituting themselves. It's a horrific thing to see. And, I'm very fortunate. I have a great family, a great life. I've worked hard for it. I'm charitable. I've done charities all my life. And we need help. These people need help.
Absolutely. That's why I want to have you on the show tonight. I feel like our country is actually at a very pivotal point. Like you said, we can't let the family keep being destroyed. I think you hit it on the mark. We've got to give parents a chance to be at home with their kids. And then instead of making all these legislations and laws and regulations, just help the family to be together again. What do you?
We need to learn to break the system, because it just keeps passing it on. The father grows up, their father was an alcoholic, drunk, or drug addict, beat the kids, so the kids never have a real nourished life. So they get up and they get uncomfortable at a certain age, and they want to talk to the girls. They want to get the good job. They start smoking weed, or they start drinking because it feels stronger. And then it just gets passed down again. Then they have a baby, and I have some friends that have adopted drug-addicted babies. God bless them. And,
wow.
These things are real. And that's a lifelong problematic problem, because these kids are difficult to deal with. And So we need to stop somewhere. How do we do it? I don't know. I wish I knew it. But I put alcohol down myself. I saw what was happening to me. I saw the people around me. I was attracting, like, sickness attracts sickness. And I'm going to change you and you're going to change me. And nobody changes anybody. We need help, whether it's in the school system, needs to be talked about it more. There need to be more programs about it, because it's so big and it's being pushed aside all the time. There's no money for it. There's too many problems. We have to address it.
You know what? You're hitting on a point, and you really got to me a few seconds ago. An idea came to me. People look up to boxers. A boxer is on his own in that ring. A boxer is like that movie Maximus, right, with Russell Crowe. Mm-hmm. And he carries the heart of the people, really, the good champion like you. And, you gave an idea to me. Maybe what we should do is start a league of boxers who are going to help the communities with their experience. What do you think of that?
Doctor, listen, it doesn't have to be a boxer. I happen to help people all my life in boxing. I bring them to the gym. I close the door. They feel like they've been being bullied. They're being knocked around. I teach them how to protect themselves. I teach them how to keep their hands up and to throw good punches. And you don't have to fight, but you develop a confidence, courage, strength, freedom to walk away and don't give off. You see, we give off these nonverbal with that we're afraid. And when the bullies see it, they say, here's the guy. But if you learn to not give that off, no one's going to bother. And besides, once listen, there was a guy I grew up with who was a bully. And I straightened him out. Once you straighten out the bully, nobody bullies you. And no one tries to bully you anymore. It gives you the time and the space to find out other areas in your life that are valuable to you and you want to explore and to grow. That's what it's about. And I talked before about time is not waiting for us. No, I am 68 years old. I can't believe it. Where did it go? And I have the greatest life in the world because I help people every day. I got a great family. I box with people. I travel. I talk to people every day. And we laugh and we joke. And we, are better off as we leave each other.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really important message you're giving out, because I think a lot of people get lost with the technology. Well, look at me. Who am I? How much money do I have? And I mean, you need money to live, but what you're saying makes so much sense. It's logical. You got to have some humanity. You got to have some love.
It's not about the money. It's about how you have the love for yourself, and that, $5,000 or $500 doesn't make a lot of difference, really, in the long run. You support yourselves. You raise a family. You love that family. You find ways to change. Things come to our laps. If you believe in the higher power, I think you were talking about a God of our understanding, right? That's real in my mind. I don't know how you feel about that, doctor, but listen, here's a story about, God was walking on the beach with this guy who was struggling. There was 2 sets of footprints. And then during the guy's most troubling times, there was 1 set of footprints. He said, God, during the most difficult times in my life, you left me. And God said, no, my son, that's when I carried you. Now, whatever love you have, whatever you believe in, spirits, like I tell people, there's not, when we die, there's no 7 lanes where this religion, that religion, this religion, that religion. Whoever your religion is, we all the same. Make peace with that guy. Feel the harmony, the love. Help somebody. Great prayers. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. That's a great prayer. I do a lot of reading on things that disturb me. I change. I don't like to look back. And, it's a great life that we're given, like you have, with all that you're doing. And I feel that way too. And I never won the title. I missed the boat. I didn't take care of myself in my biggest moment. I threw it away. I sabotaged myself because that's how I was brought up. I was no good, failure. But that's not the truth. But we all have to learn it. And if I can tell you and you can tell somebody and we tell a younger kid, maybe he can look at that. Maybe he can look at this show. Maybe he can get a book and start the process.
That's exactly, you know what, Gerry? That's exactly what's happening with this show. And you know what? I want to tell you something on the show. You don't need to hear this because I know you feel it, but you didn't blow anything. Because I think probably God had a reason for what happened in your life so that you could help people to see how to be a real human being. You know, in the Jewish religion, you call it a mensch. If somebody's a mensch, they're a real person. They're there with you, like you said, God carrying you. They're with you in thick or thin. You know, I think with this boxing match that just occurred, I think it would be great. Maybe Jake Paul or Mike sees this show and they go, you know what? That idea of Gerry and Ben on that show, it's a good idea. Why don't we have some more matches, and we're going to donate 25% of the proceeds to drugs, to fighting homelessness. We're not going to wait for the government. We're going to put families back together again. You know, I think that, you know, you haven't lost anything to me. I got to tell you, that day I got the phone call from you. It's unbelievable.
Right. Well, listen, I want to say that I'm going to say it again, if you take $1 from every ticket, you think it's not a lot. You know what? Last night they had 6 million people watching that fight on television. They had 80,000 people in the arena. If every one of those tickets you took $1, put it in the bank, and then the next fight you took $1, put it in the bank, no one's getting hurt. But you're allowing yourself insurance where you can help these kids who have fought through some of the most difficult times in life that carry us through those times, and give them a chance.
That's right.
Give them a chance.
Thank you, Gerry.
Okay, really, that's the story. I've done so many things in the game, you know, and that's the simplest way to go about it. It's put in. We have to do a foundation to help, to support and watch the money, and just, you know, there's like go to a doctor and find out what you need and be passed on. It's free money, but hopefully something will happen. You know, if not, maybe you and I'll put on an exhibition. Why not? I know you're a lot younger than me.
Hey, Gerry, can a 5'9" Jewish guy fight? What are you, like 6'6"?
Listen, I'll take it easy with you. I'll make you look good for a couple of rounds.
I love it. Let's do it, Gerry Cooney.
All right, baby.
I love you, man.
Love you too, baby.
You're the best. So, you know, unfortunately, we've run out of time for the show.
Yeah.
I'm up for the exhibition. You know, I know you'll carry me for 8 rounds, you know. I got to start doing my workouts. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Doctor. All you're going to hear is, down goes. All right. Love you guys. Thanks. Anytime you need me, call me back, okay?
Thank you very much, Gerry. For those of you watching, we hope you've liked this segment of the Time for Truth show. And get ready for our new foundation where we take $1 from every ticket and make Gerry Cooney's idea come true. Let's do it.
Let's go, baby. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got. But the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. at your feet.